What's up everyone, thank you so much for clicking, for subscribing. This is going to be a special Q&A that was originally for the 12K, but I am so slow and you're so fast that it is now for the 13K. So thank you so much to everyone for subscribing, thank you for being here, thank you for the amazing support, thank you for the comments, for the everlasting love. I'm feeling very blessed, and it's my way of giving you as much as possible back to you guys. So it's going to be a pretty long Q&A, I believe, so just sit back. There will be minimal editing, so if you just want to listen to it, it will be totally fine. And yeah, let's dive in. I want to apologize first about my voice. I'm slightly sick, something in the throat, so I hope you do not hear it too much. So yeah, let's dive in. Alright, so first question. Iblis asks, how important is testosterone for muscle building? I was recently diagnosed with a condition, hypogonadism, where my body is failing to produce normal level of testosterone. I am well below the bottom end of the normal range. I'm also unwilling to take TRT even though my doctor recommended it. I'm also doing the best I can for sleep and diet. Can I still build a Greek body statue, I believe you wanted to say. Thanks, brother. Alright, so very interesting question right from the get-go. Alright, so testosterone is key for building muscle. That's why guys that are taking steroids immediately blast some kind of plateau and immediately see improvement. It's because testosterone is one of the prime factor into the equation of switching the protein synthesis for you to just build muscle, and also into the anabolism the anabolism response, which is with the mTOR switch. So, but technically speaking, the more testosterone you have, the better. And it is also a follistatin promoter, and thus it is inhibiting the myostatin. The myostatin is an enzyme which is basically keeping you from building muscle, most likely some kind of survival mechanism to avoid you getting too muscular too fast and then having to consume too much calories, because at the start you're supposed to just be some kind of animal, and survive. If you have too much muscle, you need to constantly be eating. So I think that's the general thesis, right? So pretty key, testosterone is pretty key, and if you have hypogonadism, it's obviously being harder for you. So my take is, first thing first, you dial the sleep and the diet. You have to. They are the cornerstone of the health. If you have no health, you can't build muscle. So you make sure to have good quality sleep. You make sure to sleep 7 to 9 hours per night. If you can nap, it's even better. For the diet, as much density in micronutrients as possible. So whole eggs, organ meat, oyster, raw honey, red meat if you can sustain it, if it's good quality too, virgin extra press cold olive oil, butter, dark cocoa, lots of fruits. Veggies wise are not much that are extremely interesting, but just eating a lot of veggies, carrot and white button mushroom are pretty nice, for the digestion and the gut health. And then what you can do is also about supplementation. Basically taking MLT and also creatine. Creatine is one of the best muscle building and health supplements that you can have, because we do not know every mechanism yet, but it's basically something that will help you with the longevity and the health of your brain and your heart both. It is recently been observed that there is some kind of inhibition with regard to the T cells, so basically the tumor growing cells that can give you cancer. And also sport-wise, your DHT raise is way sharper with creatine. So we do not know if it's creatine who is helping with the DHT, or if it's because of the creatine you can train so hard so that the stress response from training is amplified, so much more THT. But basically, DHT is the most androgenic hormone, or one of the most androgenic hormone, and if you are hypogonadic, it will help you to do everything you can to raise it. Then we can talk about vitamin A, and by A I mean retinol, vitamin D, vitamin K, extremely important for you. Zinc, copper, selenium, magnesium, B vitamins that are very good for the androgen receptors, and so on and so forth. Okay. Then regarding your thing with the TRT, I'm not a doctor, and if you can avoid TRT, it's always better, because TRT pretty tricky. You know, you open kind of a Pandora box with it. Not much people know, but it can upregulate pretty high the androgen receptor. So when you stop, the androgen receptor are not working normally because they've been so used to certain levels that the downregulation can be slower compared to what you're doing with your hormones. There is also the fact that testosterone can aromatize in estrogen, so you know, some people are doing extremely well with TRT, and some people are just living a nightmare with it. I guess you do not want TRT because you kind of want to stay natty, so I'm not going to suggest you try HGC, which is basically LH, or androgen derivatives such as proviron, which is often used when you are guys that have shut down HPT or that are just hypogonadic. What I'm going to say is that hypogonadism is linked to hypothyroidism, because there is a feedback loop between the two, between your thyroid and your gonads. If one has a problem, the other is forced to downregulate or kind of regulate itself compared to the other. So if you have hypogonadism, much likely you do some kind of very advanced thyroid blood work, and you will find that you either have low thyroid hormone and pretty high TSH, or everything is pretty normal, but when you check the reverse T3 and the reverse T4, something's off, and maybe also with the ACTO and the ACTH. So my guess for you should be sleep, diet, training as hard as you can, because they are still going to be the free thing you can do without much nefarious effect on your body. But then regarding what you can do above all, there is the supplementation, there is the adaptogenic herb. You can try Butea scorbia, you can try ashwagandha, tuberous terrestris, fenugreek, maca could help you, and then it should be also to boost up the thyroid. So if you're not scared, and if you can have a very understanding and pretty up-to-date doctor, you could try using neurosteroids, such as, there is steroids inside the name, but don't worry, I mean, you're not going to build muscle with that, except if you're really, if your hormonal profile is so bad that just getting your hormonal profile back up is going to help you with that, but you're not going to build muscle with that. And that should be to use notably DHEA, which can go into the androgenic pathway, potentially also pregnenolone. So, you know, I don't know if you know, there is the building block of hormone, cholesterol, it's like the brick for every hormone. Then you have pregnenolone, which is like the mother of all hormone. I mean, I think it's pretty basically the name of it, you know, with the Greek thing. And then you have DHEA and progesterone. Progesterone do its things, you know, but then DHEA is basically going to the testosterone and every androgenic stuff, the pheromone, and etc. So raising DHEA could be something good, because DHEA can also boost the thyroid hormones, and also maybe taking ultra low dose of T3 and or maybe T4. I'm pretty sure T3 and T4 together, low dose, would be better, could help you, but for that you need to check with another endocrinologist. And as far as I'm concerned, building a very good physique while being hypogonadic is not going something that's not going to happen. You need to be healthy to have a good body. So you fix your hypogonadism, you make sure that your body know how to do its things alone. You know, you're not like for life under substances and everything, and yeah, you should be fine. Alright, Ricky D asks, love the video, man, and your physique is immaculate. Thank you. Question for the Q&A. What are your thoughts in progressing in one compound but regressing in other involving a muscle group? Sometimes I'm able to add 1 to 3 reps across 3 sets of inclined dumbbell press, then I do arm segment, and lastly, when I go to dumbbell overhead press, I often lose reps, 1 or 2 reps across 3 sets, and I'm wondering if my pushing musculature is actually getting better or not. Well, first thing first, why are you doing the dumbbell overhead press after arm work if you are concerned about pushing musculature? And second thing is that dumbbell overhead press and dumbbell incline press have some overlap, so you cannot do one first and then do the other without losing a tiny bit, except if you are pretty imbalanced in terms of development and strength regarding the angle, which I have, for example. I am basically as strong in overhead press than flat, and my incline is barely stronger than my overhead. And it's because I barely train my flat, it hurt my shoulder, and it never felt good for me, so it's like I am underworked in that path, and I am very, very good in that path, you know. Like I can press 2 plates like that, and I'm pretty sure if right now we do some kind of bench press, it's been so long I didn't do it. If I have like 2 plates and a half, like a close grip bench, it would be good. So I think you should just switch your exercise order, and maybe 3 sets of each for the presses, I mean, is too much. Maybe go down to 2 sets, or do not go so close to failure, but it's bound to have some overlap. You cannot do seated press hard and then go on incline and not be already a bit fatigued, and vice versa too. The only thing I am not understanding here is why you do incline, then arm, then you go to overhead press. If your goal is to do chest, then arm, triceps, and then go to shoulder, then dumbbell overhead press is not a good choice, because you're obviously going to be tired and you're not going to progress as good as you can. So switch the exercise or switch the order. Alright, Dividend King asks, can see the mountain peaks, only your biceps hook. Have you done any video about forearm pains, not wrist pain while curling? I have these things that bother me from time to time. I do manual labor outside all year around and I constantly grip my equipment. I do hand opening rubber band around the finger, but the pain sometimes come back and it makes it really hard to hit my biceps. Still do it even in pain. Okay, so if I understand correctly, you doing curl, so for the biceps, is hurting, and you're working your extensor with little rubber band around your finger to work the extensor to avoid any kind of issue regarding the elbow, and still it hurts, and it's in the forearm. So you either have a very weak supination, so the act of doing that, or you have a golfer elbow. So you know the tennis elbow is on this side, it's when you have epicondylitis, so it's hurting there. Well, the golfer elbow is reversed, is when it's hurting there, and it's going to the pinky side. I don't know, I have so it's not enough information, you should send me pics and everything, but if doing that in supination is hurting, either you have a golfer elbow, or you're trying to curl with straight bar and you have a elbow valgus. So it's kind of like your elbow is a little offset compared to the normal alignment, perfect alignment that you should have. So I'd say to switch to easy bar curl, and even to dumbbell, and I would tell you to stretch onto your wrist flexors, so stretch your forearms and work onto your supination. Do like forearm isolation, both do the pronation work, such as just like the arm wrestler are doing, but also do the reverse, like with a rope or something, and you go like this, neutral grip, and you just do that. Not even curling, just like this, and it's going to be harder and harder to just do that, so you can maybe help a little bit or cheat a bit. And I'm pretty sure that if you switch between the two hands, you will see like massive difference of strength regarding the grip, the crushing grip, the pinching, the pronation, and the supination too. So good luck to you. Alright, Savvy asks, question for a Q&A. Do you think it's viable to separate rep trend for upper body days? Day 1, 3 to 6 reps of upper body compound like bench press, military pull-up, rows, 6 to 10 reps for arms like easy bar curl and extension. And on day 2 would comprise of 6 to 10 reps and mostly cable machine movement and compounds, and 10 to 15 for arms. Yes, it's viable, and yes, you can do it. Do it. Alright, NGA asks, Q&A, do you recommend full body twice a week or 3 times per week? It depends. And when will you be releasing your full body program? Your upper lower program was amazing. Thank you from the UK. Thank you so much, man. Alright, so as I said, full body twice or thrice a week, depend. I'd say thrice per week is most likely better. It's better to spread the volume, to spread the recovery, but schedule-wise, it depends. If you are like extremely busy and you do not have time, like you're some kind of father, you are working maybe a lot of jobs or a lot of supplemental hours, or you're traveling, the best thing for you is still to train. So if training for you works with twice a week full body, you do that. I'd just say that the go-to option with full body would be 3 times per week, but both can work. It just depends on your schedule, basically. Okay. Personally, I tried both. I really preferred thrice per week. Twice per week, it was extremely nice to maintain my gains, and I had a pretty good shape. I think I was like 81, 82 kilograms, like 10% body fat, and the rest of the week I was hiking with an ex-girlfriend. I was doing horse riding and stuff, And I was still progressing in strength, in performance, and everything, but my physique was not moving as much. But recovery-wise, it was amazing. So, yeah, I need a little more frequency personally if I do that. And as for the other thing, the full body program, because the upper lower program was amazing. Well, thank you for the compliment. I really poured my soul into this ebook, so I really appreciate it. And when will we be releasing it? I have no idea, but you're not the only one to ask. So I guess I should just get to work and have it done for early 2024. Yeah. Neil Sweetfoot asks, congrats, man. Question, is there a benefit, whether cutting or bulking, to have less frequency on certain muscle group due to them affecting recovery and overall ability to train. Example given, I remember Meadows, so he means John Meadow, saying you don't really want to train muscle twice of which you are keen on making them grow. This makes me think that sometimes like 2 upper and 1 lower split or a push-pull lower upper split would be superior to full body or upper lower when, capital when, lower body maintenance and upper body improvement is the goal. Is that right? Correct. Definitely. First thing first, there are some muscle you can just push so hard in terms of both intensity and volume that then you also have to respect the fact that you will need to recover harder. A good example would be just the legs, and more specifically, I'd say the quads and the glutes. You can just hammer the shit out of them. You can do squats, and then when you can't squat anymore, you can do leg press. And when the leg press, you can't do that anymore, you can do split squat or lunges. And when you can't do that anymore, you can do leg extension. And when you're done, you're not done. You can do CD squat, you can do hip thrust, you can do hip abduction. You can just keep pounding and pounding on that. So you can have a very harsh leg day, which is very funny, very very good to have. You know, like, yeah, I did my work. But then you have to respect the fact that you destroyed 2 big muscle groups in your body, which are in the top 3 of the biggest muscle and the strongest muscle ever in your body, and that you have to let them recover, right? So, same thing for chest, you know, pretty big muscle. Same thing for the delt, you know, especially since the delt are basically active in most upper body movement, whatever, if you're pushing, pulling in whatever direction. And so, yeah, I do believe that there are some muscle you can get away and have great result with the fact that you are just training them hard once, and then you let them rest for like 5, 7, 10 days. You know, it depends. You know, Tom Platz was training his legs just twice a month, and then he even tried once a month. But each time he would do it, he would just the guy would just puke and, you know, fall unconscious, and then get back up and then do his squats and then fall asleep again. You know, it was going extra hard. So yeah, the harder you go on any kind of muscle group, the harder it is for you to recover. So you have to let it grow. And it is much easier to go harder on small muscle group, which are then going to kind of recover faster if you are not overdoing it, than other muscle group. You know, like quads can really withstand a lot of fatigue, but then you are also pretty fatigued yourself, right? While biceps, you can do 10 by 10 if you want. Yeah, the biceps is going to be done, but then you go home, the next day you want to do a 10 by 10 on another muscle, you can. You're not going to be crippled. You know, with quads, another story. And for the second thing, you know, if you are just searching for lower body maintenance and you want to improve your upper body, then yes, there is the prioritization concept, there is the goal focus concept, and that means that you could get away with just a little volume on the lower body and minimum frequency, so like basically once a week, just to maintain what you have. Even if you can keep progressing in regard to strength and everything, it's perfect. And then you have all these resources that you are not spending onto the lower body, that then you can focus onto the upper body. And that's basically what I did for quite a few years, because my legs were overshadowing my upper body, especially my arms. You know, arms were a weak point for me for a very long time. So I had to detrain myself on the legs and also somewhat on the back to let my arms catch up. So yeah, very good. All right, Iago. Hi Blover, why do you have distinct upper and lower body days? Why not just do the same workout twice in the same week? Besides overuse issues and boredom, I can't think about anything else. I've used both systems, and sincerely I prefer to repeat the same workout twice per week than to have distinct workout. Congratulations on channel growth. Much love from Portugal. Obrigado. Alright, so yeah, you're true. You're saying the truth. There is nothing magical about it besides overuse issue and boredom. For boredom, bodybuilding is a pretty boring sport in a sense. You know, eat, train, sleep, repeat for years. So from some people, switching exercise is extremely important, just for the sake of boredom. But then there is the overuse issues, and that is something extremely important, especially as you grow more advanced, but also as you grow older. My take is that you can go with 2 ways. You can do the way I am currently doing, which is to have 2 upper, lower, 2 lower, 2 upper, 2 lower, and to switch variation of exercise, you know. And so you have a toolbox or a list of exercise, and you can just progress on every one of them, more or less, pretty fast, pretty slow, we don't care. and they all have a transfer. So if you grow strong on this exercise, this other one is also going to progress, you know. But there is also the fact that if one is plateauing, I can rely more onto the other one to keep progressing and just replace the other one with another variation. And then you can do what Alexander Leonidas, Alpha Destiny was doing for quite a long time, when he was still doing twice a week full body with twice GPP session. He was switching every week. So he had a 3-week cycle, I believe, for example, when he was chasing the 2-plate overhead press, and he just had 3 exercises that he knew was making him progressing on that exercise, that were kind to his joint and that were pretty enjoyable for him. So there was like a press with bands, there was the Z press, there was something else, I don't remember, maybe the landmine, I don't know. And so there was 1 week, he would trash himself on the landmine. Week 1, landmine. Week 2, he would do the band press. Week 3, he would do the other ones of the Z press, and then week 4, he would just redo the standing normal overhead press. Each time he would progress a little bit, either in reps and or weights, and rinse repeat, you know. He had this fast rotation because he was already pretty advanced. So maybe for you, if this rotation would happen every 3 weeks, maybe, or every 2 weeks, I don't know. But it's just a question of overuse issues, you know, letting your body rest on a specific angle, specific thing with specific grip and everything, just because you overdid it, you know. And sometimes it can be quite wrong, you know, when you have an exercise and you keep it and you just do it again and again and again and again and again. Sometimes we are talking about years, we are doing it again, months, you know. So yeah, that's it. Thank you. Weston asks, what is your opinion on raw versus pasteurized milk, and whether or not you drink it, as well as your opinion on incorporating only pink lift into our workout like all bodybuilders used to do, like Grimek, Reg, and Reeves did. Okay, so my opinion on raw versus pasteurized milk. On the paper, raw seems better, but you have to remember that raw milk has a shit ton of different bacteria into it, and you have to be able to withstand it, so you have to get your body used to it. It's just like, how do you say it in English? I think it's sauerkraut, you say. You know, like the German thing with fermented, you know, in French we say choucroute. I think it's sauerkraut in English. If you are never eating fermenting food, you know, and all of a sudden you go with a huge plate of that, you are not going to be fine. Your stomach is going to kill you. Same thing with raw milk, you know. You can't give raw milk, for example, to kids that have a little condition or seems to have some sensitivity or allergies, and you just need to wait that their immune system is building back up, because most of your immune system is in the gut, right? And as for pasteurized milk, it's supposed to be better regarding this bacteria thing, but more and more we see people that do not tolerate it. So is it because of the pasteurization, or is it because of the life condition and the diet of the cows? Maybe a bit of both, maybe one or the other. I am someone who thought for a very long time that he was lactose intolerant, because each time I was getting lactose, I would get the shits and pimple on my face. And actually, I can eat cheese without problem. I mean, if you have seen my diet video, I'm eating Emmental and I'm eating Calves cheese and I'm eating I have no problem when I eat these. But the milk, I cannot digest it. And I thought it was just like the cheese does not have much lactose, there is a bit of fermentation, so it's a bit easier, and that's it. I cannot digest the milk in France, because when I went to Canada, I couldn't drink it. I could drink microfiltered milk. You know, I came back in France, I was like, oh, okay, so now I can get microfiltered milk. And so I bought and drank microfiltered milk in France, and I got sick, while I was just chugging it to the bottle in Canada without any problem. And there was no lactase, there was nothing, just microfiltered milk. I could do whole milk, skimmed milk, partially skimmed. I could just drink it, you know. In France, I can't. Organic, lactase stuff, lactose-free, whatever. I just can't drink it. So I'm pretty sure there is something going on with the cows themselves. And as for did I ever try raw milk? No, because there is no raw milk access in France, or at least you have to be close to the producers, you know, that are doing it. And it's not pushed forward in France, really not. So yeah, and when I went to London, it was just no little trip, and I didn't knew you could have access to raw milk there, you know. So maybe the next time I go to London, I will try to get my hand on some raw milk. And for the other question, Olympic weightlifting into our workouts, it's an option, like any option. If you want to do them, do them. If you do not want to do them, don't do them. Right now, you have to understand that we are in a modern era where we have a lot of machines and we have a much more comprehensive and scientific, in a sense, knowledge of a body. So if you want to do this muscle, you can do this and that. And what's going to be better? Is it going to do some Olympic weightlifting exercise where you need a lot of skills, you need a lot of balance that are extremely taxing on the whole body, or doing this exercise where you are stable, you are nice, you are very comfy, and you can just push yourself extra hard on the specific muscles that you want, you know? And if you're talking to me about, yeah, but their physique was way more complete, look at the top natural bodybuilder, like the elite one internationally, their physique is as complete. Sorry, you know, I mean, I'm not doing any kind of Olympic lift like right now. I'm not doing high pulls, I'm not doing clean and press and everything. I'm not doing any deadlift, I'm not doing like even front squat. For now, I've stopped. Would you say that my physique is lacking something? I don't think so. At least, I mean, I'm lacking chest, I'm lacking a bit of arms maybe, hamstring, calves. Are they going to pop up if I do some Olympic weightlifter, like some Ollie lift? I don't think so. You have to understand there were the option at the time. Just like the flat bench. You wanted to build chest, you had the flat bench, that's it. There was no dumbbell, there was no incline, there was no machine, there was no Smith. It was flat bench with a barbell. Go for it, you know. Now we have more options, so we can be smarter. England Leaves ask, top calf building exercise. Any toe rise exercise. Standing and donkey would be my favorite. And also, which do you believe is more effective in building bigger calves? It depends if you are talking about the soleus or the gastroc. Soleus is better with seated calves, and gastroc is better with straight like a standing or bent over donkey calf raise style. High rep lower weight or low moderate reps high weight. You're falling into the trap again. The goal should be high rep, high weight, not low weight, high rep or heavy weight, low rep. No, it should be high weight, high reps. That's the goal as a bodybuilder, you know. Whichever of them can work. The issue is that most people do not know that the Achilles tendon is acting like a bouncing mechanism, and that if you're just bouncing like that when you're doing your calves, you're just accumulating elastic energy, and you're just bouncing onto your structural tendon support, you know? You're not building muscles, that's why you need to pose. Like that. This is how you train calves, okay? If you go explosively, at least pose a little bit at the bottom, okay? And then you do whatever weight and rep range you want. But it's more about the tempo and how to actually put the load onto the muscle. Simon and Martorana ask, hello, so I want to ask you a question about the weekly volume. Typically, the volume recommended is 10 to 12 sets per week per muscle. But are these sets all to failure? 0 RER. So how much sets do you do per week, and how much of these sets is taken to 0 RER? None, or maybe a few. And know that you do not need to go to 0 RER. If you're following these guys that are saying that the scientific way is like 10 to 20 sets per muscle per week, they will tell you that most studies have found that you do not need to go to absolute total failure, but just close to it, like 1 or 2 RER. And the smart way to have longevity in the sport is to be pretty conservative with your compound heavy lift and to be a little more zealous with your isolation. But no one said to go to absolute failure, and most people can't anyway. It's a skill, and none of my sets are truly to 0 RER, because I could always, I mean, there are 0 RER if you're talking about like correct form or the form I choose for an exercise, but I could always degrade the form, always try to, you know, to like bend myself, you know, to keep going, you know, for at least 1 or 2. It's not the case. There is no point doing that. It's so risky for so little, you know. So except if I'm very stacked and safe into a good machine, and I have a training partner that is going to help me keep going with concentric and, you know, assist me with negative if I need. You don't do that, you know. You do not apply HIIT workout without the HIIT context, you know. So yeah. He the Nexus asks, hello Sojak, I hope you are enjoying your holidays. It was great. Congratulations on the channel. Congratulations on the channel gains. Thanks. Since your video on the intra-workout drink, I have been thinking about nutrition before and after a workout. Besides hydration, are there any aspects of pre- and post-workout nutrition that you think are commonly overlooked? Thanks. I think people really underestimate the fact to simply have a dinner, you know, a quite big heavy meal dinner after training. If you're training in the evening, into something, have a big lunch if you're training in the morning. There is this thing about, having your shaker with the powder and pills and stuff ready for you, instead of having just some big meal, and you can have the pills and the supplement with it as well. So over complexification. I have seen too much of that. As for the pre-workout, people are just overlooking it, period. They're going to the gym and they are fasting, or they just had a normal, pretty big meal before, and then they are feeling nauseous during the workout. Well, no shit. When you are digesting, you need your blood to stay around the gut for the digestion. If you're training, the blood is going to go away into the muscle. If you're training arms, the arm is going to pump. So if you have a big meal, then you go train arm, you're not going to feel very well. But the worst is, of course, when you're training legs, or you're doing exercise where you have a lot of bending over, getting back up, and when you are squashing onto your midsection, then you go puke, and you're not hardcore for puking. I mean, or I never trained hardcore in my entire life, even when I was doing sport before actually doing bodybuilding. You just have to be smart about your digestion. So when you are having a big meal, you wait 2 hours before training, 1 hour and a half, 2 hours. And if you can't have a big meal, like the big meal is hours away from your training, then you have a little snack, and that little snack can just be a protein scoop, coffee, 2 fruits, and you're good to go. That's one of the most overlooked things, I believe. You're just not taking this seriously, despite the fact that as a lifter, whatever, if you're a strength athlete or a endurance athlete or like a sport enthusiast, the most important meal of the day or moment of the day for you is actually what is happening around and during the training, not the breakfast, as we say. So that would be my answer for you. Alright, Mohamed Nas. Hey man, question for Q&A. What are your thoughts on using the deficit heel elevated Bulgarian Split Squat for quad growth? I'm stuck with limited weight and I use it now, a secondary exercise to the front squat, and I also add in some pendulum CC squat. Is this enough for quad growth? You're limited by weight, so of course you will have to make your life hard by finding ways, except moving up weight since you can't, to make everything you do more difficult. So that means tempo work, poses, more volume, less rest period, more sets, more reps, etc., etc. And what you're doing is pretty nice. You front squat, main builder, then you do Bulgarian Split Squat, going to be torched, and you use the pendulum CC squat as a finisher. So yeah, that's pretty good. And is this enough for quad growth? You tell me, are you growing your quads? If yes, yes. If not, no. Something is off. But that might not be the training. It could also be your recovery. This could also be your diet. Are you eating enough? VV Loney asks, what do you think of heavy single exercise? It's an option like any others, but there are better options. But I've done it. It's fun. I was doing 15 sets of one, like 15 by 1, and I would rest 45 to 60 seconds per rep. It was just like a giant cluster set, basically. And I would progress like that. I would do 15 by 1, then I would do 8 by 2, then 6 by 3, which is something I showed in my videos. So I guess one day I'll do a video about it, this method, It's nothing too crazy. Many guys did that, especially the ones that have to be training for sport, or guys that want to train for strength, some kind of power building thing in a sense, and they want to keep some athleticism. So yeah. Luke Deutsch asks, what do you do for cardio? Thought on cardiovascular health? Well, your heart is the most important muscle of your body, so I hope people are taking it seriously. And what do I do for cardio? I do boxing, I'm taking up sprints, hill sprints, and like HIIT sprints again, which was my favorite method. Sometimes I do the rowing ergonometer, I think you say. I do a lot of walking, even if you could say that it's more like NEAT. My training is also quite heavy on the cardiovascular system because I superset everything. I do not like to sit around. If I do deadlift, I'll wait and rest quite a bit between my deadlift sets, but during that time I'll do neck and or calves, for example. And when I'm doing a pushing exercise, I will do pulling. When I do biceps, then I will do triceps. When I do quads, I will do hamstring. So even my real training is quite cardio in a sense. And that's about it. Penumbrium asks, opinion on calisthenics style progression in a bodybuilding context. For example, going from push-up to pseudo-planche push-up or archer push-up, variation with floor, parallettes or rings, seems like a good way to avoid needing external load in a minimal equipment setup. In a minimal equipment setup, you're right. In a bodybuilding context, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're making your life much more complicated than it needs to be. And bodybuilding is already quite complicated. I see the argument. You go from a normal push-up, where you're basically working with half your body weight, to like a planche push-up, for example, where it's your whole body on your hand. So if you are weighting 80 kilogram, normal push-up is like basically 40 kilogram press. And if you go to a full planche push-up, you're doing a push-up with 80 kilograms. Well, guess what? If you do the same with a bench press, for example, you go with the empty bar plus two 10 kilogram plate on each side, so 25 plates in pounds, and you go to that to 1.5 plates. Not only will it be faster to set up, but also you could have much more result muscle-wise from doing that than to progress with a push-up. Of course, doing the calisthenic thing, when you're doing a push-up, we also work a lot of stabilizing muscle, the serratus anterior, the lats. The whole shoulder girdle will be activated, of course the core. But I would say, yeah, but I'm a bodybuilder, so you know what? I'll do my chest stuff, then I will do my shoulder stuff, then I will do my back stuff. And if I have a good context for that, meaning a good gym, I'm good. And I will be much stronger and much bigger than you with kind of kept into that calisthenic thing. Are you going to gain muscle? Yes. And if you want to do it that way, do it. But are you going to win a bodybuilding pro card by doing that? I doubt it. But you're still going to gain stuff, obviously. But you'll have to do also supplemental work for your weak point. You'll have to make sure that your strong point are in check and not wrecking your body balance, for example. Like if you have no chest and you take everything in the shoulder, when you're doing a push-up, how are you making sure that the chest are going to work? You tell me that you have rings, so you have to complement with much more ring work, for example. It can work, but there is much simpler. Alright, Jérôme Bonnet, huge inspiration, brother. I was wondering about your thought on muscle specificity programming-wise. Do you think it's necessary to prioritize some muscle group at a time, or do you just try to maximize everything at once? As a separate question, do you have any special tip on biceps training? I found my triceps outgrow my biceps even when they are prioritized. You obviously will have to prioritize muscle in a bodybuilding context. No one, absolutely no one, grow a proportionate body just by training everything at once. There are intra-muscle competition and there are intra-movement pattern competition. A good example, if you take my example, me, okay? I have strong deltoid, very strong triceps. Guess what happens if I'm doing horizontal pressing? No chest, all in the shoulder, all in the triceps, okay? And guess what happened when I'm doing vertical pressing? I'm strong and it's nice. So what happened? I need to train more my horizontal pressing and more my chest to have balance, okay? But then even more so, I need to be careful when I'm doing this horizontal pressing that my shoulder and my triceps are not sneaking the work away from my chest, because they're all doing kind of the same motion. They're agonist muscle, right? Same thing with like back movement. You know, my biceps are a weak point, my forearm are a strong point, and my lats, first time I did pull-up, I did like, I don't know, like 13, 14 maybe. It was easy for me. So each time I'm doing back workout, I can basically isolate literally my back. You know, when you're doing the motion with the proper elbow abduction, if I want to, there is little to no biceps at all. So then I can do real biceps work, and there is like, whatever if I do the biceps first or after the back work, it doesn't change anything, you know. So if I really wanted to make the most out of my back training, also for my arms, I would need to make everything bicep-centric, okay? And it's not possible to have a bicep-centric back workout and then have a proper back development, because the rate of growth and the potential of growth is totally different, of course. Your bicep is not going to grow as much as a quad, for example. So you have to prioritize, and it's personal. It's you. You need to prioritize in a way, and another one may need to prioritize another way. There is also a bone structure, but I do not want to cause headaches. So yeah, you have to prioritize. And as a separate question, do you have any special tip on biceps training? Yeah, isolate them and learn and do exercise where you are absolutely 100% sure that it's the biceps working and nothing else. Not the front delt, not the forearm, not the brachioradialis, not the brachial, biceps. And rinse, repeat, get strong on them, and you will have biceps growth. And gain weight. Arm size is correlated to body weight. Alright, Philoso Lifting asks, what is your take on bulking and cutting cycle versus maingaining? Oh, I hate this. I tend to lean toward alternating bulking and maintenance phases just because the hypothetical bulk, where the rate is such that you only gain muscle, is impractical to track most of the time. Mentally as well, having consistency in weight over time allows for more accurate estimate of progress from lifting numbers going up. Alright, so you basically said that you prefer to do a lean bulk instead of bulking, maintaining. And the thing is the same, and there is not much better things to do between a slow lean bulk, as we say, and a normal bulk, even though any bulk should be a lean bulk by default, but that's another thing. Maingaining, which is a new word for recomposition, is an aberration if your goal is to gain muscle. You need a surplus. And even if you do not need a surplus, why would you make your life so much harder when it's already pretty hard to gain muscle, except if you are Mr. Ronnie Coleman, and then, okay, I'm sorry, do what you want, and do this maingaining. This is what I did for years, but for years I was also a model, so I had to be pretty sharp for pictures, and I was also posting a lot on Instagram when I was young and beautiful. In a sense, I felt obliged to keep a pretty good shape. Now I don't care, and if I want to grow, I'll grow. And guess what? The margin that you have between being quite lean and being a fat fuck, it's abyssal. It's a huge gap. You really have to eat a lot to go from that to that. So you have all this room here to say, oh, something's going not my way. I will reduce back onto the food and just wait a little bit, which is basically the first thing that you said, bulking and cutting cycle, or alternating bulking and maintenance phase. Whatever suits your boat, basically. Whatever is better for you, what you prefer, what you want. If you are extremely keen onto making sure that your lift numbers are going up, not because you're getting fat and having better leverage, but actually because you're getting stronger and better at them, then take the slow lean bulk road. And yeah, that's basically it.